Low. 2. High gun in Rival. Also, by the way, this is my opinion, so do not get mad. Starting with the Gunblade. I see a lot of people not use it, and I really like this weapon personally. Think the Gunblade, it's great. It costs 45, which is a bit pricey, but definitely worth it. D does 45 damage and 55 critical damage, and the blade do 35 damage, which is solid. So I definitely think that the Gunblade is good, even though most people say it's the worst. I completely disagree, okay? Look, I actually liked the Gunblade. However, I do see why people don't like this weapon. It's because you only get one shot, and it's not that much, even though you could argue that's some other weapons do the same thing. And besides, even though you only get one shot, you can just simply use the blade still, or use a secondary weapon and it not that hard. But I definitely see why, well, some people struggle with the Gunblade, and I can see that. However, if you know how to use it, then I would recommend this weapon. Up next, the shotgun. It costs only 20 key, which is basically a steal, and you have 7 to 35 ammo, which is not bad for a shotgun. But other than that, you might be asking, why is it underrated? Those are right the only two good things about it. Well, you're not wrong about that, because yes, you do have to get completely close, but you actually do more damage and can kill them instantly, which is crazy if you ask me. The only downside is you are more likely to get killed. However, like, people always say you need to take risks, so I definitely would recommend this weapon. The only time I would not recommend it is if someone is try-hard or pay-to-win players and killed you instantly. But other than that, it's a good weapon. Crossbow, I hadn't seen this. They would instead use the sniper over it. And no, there's nothing wrong, because the sniper is also a pretty solid weapon. However, the thing is, the crossbow is kind of shocking a bit better than the sniper. It costs half the price and even has long range. The damage is solid. Doing 35 and even does 75 with critical, and no, it cannot auto shoot. But it's still a very good weapon that I see not that much people use, and I would definitely recommend. The only time I wouldn't recommend is if someone is using the sniper with auto shoot. The reason why it's not it, one, is because unlike the crossbow, they're all so much better than what I'm talking about. Next is assault rifle, which is the dual weapon where you start at first when you first joined Rivals, and let me explain to you why this basic weapons is good, because you might be asking, how is it good? It's just a basic default, and I would tell you that you would be wrong, because it's the only gun that you can use that does not cost keys and dough. 12 to 3 damage, which you might be asking if it does will damage. Then how is it good? Which is a fair point, but it doesn't automatically mean it's a bad weapon. Because you start with 20 and 100 ammo, and the damage studs, it's 50 to 200 range. Which is good. The reason why it's not at first is because it's a bit more better than the assault rifle. But that doesn't mean that it's bad, though, because like I said, with the sniper, it's a very solid weapon. The final one, which one do you think it could be? The sniper, bow, or permafrost? And I will tell you that you would be wrong. The real final weapon that is the most best weapon of all is the one that I see not many people use, and even some YouTubers said that, and this is to no surprise, the burst rifle. It cost only 25 key and dough, 20 to 5 damage, which is one reason why I put this higher than the assault rifle. But anyways, back to topic. You can hit and run with 3 round. Burst rifle, it has 12 to 60 ammo, which is not bad for an underrated weapon. It also does 60 to 200 studs of range. The cooldown is 1 second, which is nothing. And the only downside to the burst rifle is it does minus 10 less speed, which, like I said, is nothing compared to some of the weapons. Downside, which I'm not going to disrespect the other weapons, even the bad ones. But all I'm saying is the burst rifle is the best weapon in the game, and there's no debate about that, and it's the weapon I definitely would recommend you to use in any game mode. But anyways, now you know all the top 5 underrated weapons, and what do you think? You agree or do you disagree? Which is fine to leave in the comments. Thank you for watching, and let me know what I should do next on Rivals. Anyways, bye.